Welcome to Customer Focused Differentiation in a Highly Competitive Marketplace, Part 1, Module 3, The How. I'm Aruni.
And I'm Scott. Okay, the how. What you need to know for the how is that, first of all, this is going to be a major cultural paradigm shift, and we'll talk about that. It's also going to require senior executive sponsorship because it won't succeed without it. It's important that you carefully assemble your team, that you create a communications plan, both internally and externally if you talk to your customers. We're also going to talk about the how here in mapping your customer journey.
In addition, we'll talk about prioritizing your issues and how to look for early wins. You'll also want to start your root cause analysis, understanding your issues and the causes behind them so you can fix them before you proceed. Measure your results, identify the right customer experience tools and feedback systems that will help identify that you're on the right track. And most importantly, celebrate the wins.
Okay, so the first item we talked about, which is a cultural paradigm shift. The biggest thing you need to know is, yes, it's a big change. It's a very different focus. Typically companies are focused on their functional areas, whether it's product or engineering or whatever, and that's an internal focus. And what we're talking about is shifting the focus of the organization outward to the customers. And with that comes aligning your decision-making with the customer experience. And that's likely to necessitate new KPIs that help refocus the organization on the customer, and also necessitate different incentives over time.
And by the way, KPIs stand for Key Performance Indicators.
Thank you, Aruni. You also need to realign or create new HR, finance, support, and other policies. Sometimes these take alignment. You have your staff areas like IT and HR, which are outside the core business, but you'll need to make sure that they come along for your ride in order to be a fully customer differentiated organization. And of course, there'll be other changes that'll be needed based on your organization.
It's very important to have the buy-in from your senior executive team. Your senior executive sponsorship will help you improve your chances of success. Without them, you won't be able to get the key resources you need to transition your organization to one focused on the customer experience. Executive sponsors need to be involved early and often. They must clearly and regularly be able to articulate internally within the group and externally to the entire company the reasons your organization is making the change to a customer experience differentiated environment. They need to give examples and demonstrate and tell the story of what the end state will look like. And they'll also need to define and illustrate the ways success will be shown.
And define, and maybe that's in KPIs or maybe that's in a destination. I guess we'll find out what it'll be for your organization.
Thanks, Scott. In addition to the senior executive sponsorship group, you will also need a customer experience differentiation team. This team will vary by company. It will include members of your executive team and, importantly, staff members from throughout the whole entire organization. You need champions who understand and represent the customer point of view, those people who are passionate about the customer and the experience and the products and services you provide. They must be able to share the vision, share their passion and the senior team's passion about focusing on the customer. They must be change agents. They must relentlessly pursue goals, never give up in the face of adversity or challenges, and they must share the successes to help spread the word. And sharing those successes is your communication plan. It's very important to have a communication plan. Define that the best way you can early, and know that you will reiterate over time. Have a plan for internal and external plan to communicate your successes, to support your launch, sustain your program, celebrate and communicate your successes, which I mentioned earlier, and keep your executive sponsors engaged. This communication plan, like I said, is important internally for all the staff members and your executive sponsors. This is a big change, like Scott mentioned earlier. So you must be in it for the long haul. This is a marathon. Use your communication plan to broadcast your latest metrics, as well as share significant customer insights. And here we have a fun Dilbert to look at about the troubles that people and companies experience with communication. I'm sure we've all experienced this before.
Okay, you and your team need to know that it's really important to make bridges across the other functional teams. Depending on how you have your customer experience group set up, it could be a separate function or it could be a cross-functional team. But it's really important that you build those bridges across to the other departments. And that's product and engineering, of course. But also to those that are more staff functions like IT, HR, finance, sales. Those ones you also need to build relationships with, and they need to understand the direction and the goals as Aruni discussed for your customer experience plan.
And for example, Scott, if you're moving towards a customer experienced differentiated company and organization, if a customer calls in with a finance or accounting question, you want that team to be prepared with the best customer experience and language, et cetera, to treat that customer so the customer leaves feeling like they were cared for.
A great point. Okay, so one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to map the customer journey. And I use this pretty often as the original catalyst to really gather information on where you are now. And it really does help you identify the problems that you might be having. So we're going to show a couple examples in a couple minutes. For right now, we'll discuss things that can be on a customer journey map. And this can vary map by map, but here are the things that we see most often. It's the stages, meaning the distinct periods of the journey. It could be pre-sales, sales, and after they bought, something like that, some derivative of that. The needs and the goals of the customer at each of those stages. The touch points, whether that's social media or a mobile phone or a website. What I found incredibly important is the emotions and intensity of those emotions at each stage. What's been really successful in the maps that I've built has been representative quotes. And that's quotes from the customer that are representative of the experience at that point. And they're really good for moving a culture and getting the culture to understand what customers really think about your company. Two more items, moments of truth and listening posts. Moments of truth are those moments when you can really wow your customer. And listening posts are those places where you can really learn a lot about your customer. This could be something like a Twitter support page where you can really pick up some chatter about your company. So, as I said before, every map is different. This is one map, and you don't need to see the detail here. I just want you to kind of see the different areas. There are needs and goals that we talked about. The emotions at each stage. So the stages are aware, investigation, selection, preparation, go live, and as a customer in this map. And you can see the different emotions at each stage, which we know they're happy, then they're sad, which is not good. Representative quotes down here that tell your company what's happening and what customers think at each stage. And again, the other points we talked about. Now, what you do with this map is you're able to take this map once you're done, and you're able to walk it upstairs to the C-level and say, here's what our customers think of. We need the budget to be able to do the changes. And you can walk it down to the floor level, and those people that are doing all the significant work with customers, here's what they're saying. And it helps you drive the culture both up and down towards a customer experience differentiated experience. Here's one more map. It's a little bit different. It's set up different. This one has, more of a persona here. Here's a representative quote. It's just set up different. You don't need to look at the detail, but just every customer experience map is different.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. As you said, every change and every map is different and unique depending on the company and the organization that you're in. So now we're going to look at how you prioritize your issues and look for easy early wins. It's very important. We have a short video by Gene Bliss that will talk about how every company has a power core and how you want to play to that power core as you transition your company to be focused on customer experience.
But as I traversed to these other corporations that wanted to be about the customer, but yet were so large that they got in their own way, the biggest aha moment that I had, that I help a lot of people with around the world, is understanding that every company has what I call a power core. So, for example, typically in the automotive industry, the power core for a long time was marketing. It was all about events and slick brochures and marketing events and all of the acquisition, but yet the experience at the dealership fell short of the promise that was written up in that glossy brochure. That was a marketing power core. In financial services, typically it's a power core around either sales or the vertical of executing the tasks of actuarial sciences or claims or whatever. It has nothing necessarily to do with the customer, but yet lots of people are being rewarded and recognized around it. So the aha moment I had was in helping people, and I do this with folks around the world, to first identify what your power core is inside of your company and to take the first actions to drive customer transformation that aligns with what that power core wants. So for example, lots of people have seen those pop-up boxes at Microsoft, we see you had a problem, how can we help you? Well, like many software companies, it's a product-based power core. And so we started traction by creating improvements around the product first, which earned us the right to doing other more broad sweeping actions. So the aha moment is, what I wasn't doing in the beginning of my career was energy, feistiness, passion, go head first into the organization and say, we're for the customer. But rather, with the power core, you do two things. You engage the power core, you get some early traction, and you earn the right to move on.
Okay, so what Jeannie said is look for your early wins in your power core. Okay, so we're going to talk about root cause analysis. So you've got your map, you've identified the areas that you have issues, and now you need to do your root cause analysis. Now there's two things you need to do when you do root cause analysis. One is you definitely want to fix the immediate problem, but that's just a symptom. So root cause analysis causes you to dig deeper and to find out the real causes of the problem. So you're really doing two things. You're correcting the symptom and you're solving the problem. And here's a quick video that talks about it.
Think about the last major problem you had at work. Did you take the time to discover the actual underlying cause? Or did you implement a quick fix and only deal with the symptoms? Root cause analysis is a popular process for finding the underlying cause of a problem. This technique is useful because when you deal with the root cause, you also fix many other issues associated with it. There are 5 steps in root cause analysis. You first need to define the problem. What is happening and what are the symptoms of it? Step 2 is to collect data about the situation. How long has the problem existed? What is its impact? And what can you learn about it? Step 3 is to identify possible causes. What events led to this problem? What conditions allow this problem to occur? Next, it's time to identify the root cause. What is responsible for the problems you identified in the last step? Once you've identified the root cause, the last step is to implement a solution to fix it. Now read the article that accompanies this video to find out more about root cause analysis and learn about the tools and techniques that you can use in each step of the process.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about measuring your results. There are different tool sets out there that will help you measure your results. Tool sets and companies that can help you. And here are a few of them, or the major ones. The first one is Net Promoter Score. This one came out of Bain Capital. NPS equals the percent of promoters minus the percent of detractors. That's really what they use. It's a 0 to 10 score. 9 and 10 are promoters, 7 and 8 are passives, and anybody that rates you 6 or less on the key question are detractors. And they work that out. And it's very popular. I think companies like Southwest use Net Promoter. There's a bunch more. Another one is the customer satisfaction score. I think this one might have come out of JD Power. But CSAT is really done with 2 ways. It started off with percentages. but now it's mostly a 1 to 5 ranking, but very similar to Net Promoter.
And another way to measure your results is your customer effort score. It's a ranking based on 1 to 5, answering the question, how much effort did you personally have to put forth to handle your request? So if you put yourself in the shoes of the customer trying to reach out for support, if you feel that it got answered easily, you got to the person quickly, and you found what you needed quickly, then you're going to likely rank your effort score low. It was easy to get the answer you wanted. You can also create loyal customers primarily by reducing that customer effort. So if I go in and ask a question and I get my answers quickly, I'm likely not to get disgruntled for the rest of the day. I get to move on and deal with the other things I need to deal with. And I'm going to be a loyal customer.
And you're going to rate me a 5.
That's right. Rank you 5. So there are many tools and companies out there. Some are new and some have been around for a while. Surveys, people have used surveys for a long time, SurveyMonkey and other tools, Qualtrics. Customer relationship management tools like Salesforce, Gainsight, and Tatango that we've mentioned earlier in some modules, and customer success tools that manage the customer experience. So now we want to talk about celebrating the wins.
Okay, and so celebrating the wins internally. That means you need to use your communications plan that we talked about before, but to communicate about individual and team efforts. You know, stories of where people have gone above and beyond to do great things in pursuit of customer experience differentiation. Certainly you want to be able to talk about improved KPIs, good customer testimonials, employee testimonials, or just good acknowledgement from customers. Those are great things to communicate internally.
Yeah, those key performance indicators can really help you out in a bind.
Thank you.
It's also important to celebrate the wins externally. Share your wins with your customers because they are along with you on the ride. You are talking to them daily, weekly, getting their feedback to improve your organization through your customer journey maps, through all the other interactions that you have with them. So remember them. Remember to thank them for the effort that they've helped you in moving your organization to be fully customer focused.
You know, that does help a lot. When customers learn that their feedback translated into results, it's a really, that helps your relationship with that customer significantly.
Exactly. And we look at referrals. You want to share this in the market. You can even evaluate with your team if you want to share this by press releases or testimonials. That will really depend on the organization and the relationship that you have with the customer. So to wrap things up, to summarize what we've spoken about today, is it's really important, I think, that Scott would want to emphasize the cultural.
Yeah, it's just really important to recognize that this really is a big cultural paradigm shift. And so knowing that, you need to acknowledge that through the process. You're going to have to move people from one way of thinking to another way of thinking, and it's not a small effort. And also, we talked about executive sponsorship and how important it is for your success. And so that means managing up and talking to that C-level or that senior level manager that's helping you with the program and keeping them in tune with what's going on and keeping them engaged. Along those lines, you also need to choose your team wisely. You need those passionate individuals that can help, or those leaders that can help drive your process through the company and hopefully in your power core first. Again, you need to create a communications plan. And you need to build bridges to those other functions, maybe those functions that are not the line functions like HR and IT, and make sure they're coming along with you on this ride.
It's really important also to map your customer journey. Understand how your customer interacts with you from first awareness all the way through ongoing relationship or even departure. Prioritize your issues and look for easy early wins. And start your root cause analysis. You remember we showed 2 videos on these particular topics. Identify the problem and the cause, and then address fixing them before proceeding. Measure your results using customer experience tools and feedback systems that we discussed, just so you know you're on the right track. And most importantly, celebrate your wins and share them internally.
Yeah, your wins help you create momentum, and that's really important.
Definitely. And that concludes Customer-focused differentiation in a highly competitive marketplace. Part 1, Module 3, the how.